just before we get into listening in on these fantastic panelists talking about some deep technology, I just wanted to sort of, why am I here? Apart from being voluntold to facilitate the panel. But I'm doing so, actually, it is an absolute pleasure because, and the reason for it is that BHP in particular, Think and Act Differently, which I represent, is involved in a fantastic opportunity that Finland has provided us, and that is a test facility. So we're involved in a test mine, which is the old first quantum Puusami mine, and the production finished about a couple of years ago. They're still processing the tailings in a fantastic way to produce fertilizer. But it's left a fantastic facility to test new and innovative technologies. So one aspect, the reason that we're there is because of this facility. So it's 1.4 kilometres deep, it's got a shaft, it's got 15 kilometres of decline. It even has a sauna at the bottom, which I think is the deepest sauna in the world, which really highlights the fact that the sauna in Finland is incredibly important. So, but the other reason we're there is because of these types of interactions. It's to tap into the deep technology capability of Finland. So that's why BHP are there. That's why we're partnering with Finland. So I just wanted to give you that feedback. And I think we're going in the same direction as, yeah, okay, cool. So what I'm going to do is give, so we're doing a bit of a deep dive into the deep tech of Finland. And so I want to give each of our panelists a chance to introduce yourself, but also spend a few minutes talking about what you do, what sort of capability that you provide, what product services that you provide, just to give the audience a good perspective of the fantastic capability that you bring to the resource sector and hopefully Australia and the rest of the world. So can we start off with Vesa?
Okay, thank you very much, Andrew, and hello everybody. My name is Vesa Nykänen. I'm research professor on geoinformatics at the Geological Survey of Finland, or as we want to say, GTK. GTK is a geoscience organization, by Finnish government geoscience organization. We are under the Ministry of Economic Affairs and Employment. Mostly we operate in Finland, but we also do operate globally. We provide independent data and services for industry and our stakeholders. Our expertise covers, in fact, the entire value chain of mining. Myself, I come from the early steps of the value chain, so my expertise in developing tools for mineral exploration, and especially how to use spatial data and spatial data analysis in exploration. So together with the industry, we collaborate with different projects, and I'm representing here also, in addition to GTK, these consortiums, and one of the projects that I brought with me is called Artificial Intelligence in Exploration, and AMEX is the abbreviation of this. And here we are applying machine learning and artificial intelligence to analyze the exploration data. So that's briefly what I'm doing.
Thank you. That sounds really exciting. And I had the pleasure of interacting with the geological surveys around the world. And so I absolutely admire the collaboration that happens between all the geological surveys around the world. So thank you, Vesa. David.
Thank you very much, Andrew. So my name is David Lucchesi. I come from a company called Satel. And Satel, we focus on connectivity solutions. And when we talk about connectivity, there's a broad scale what is available and around, for example, in the mining industry. What we at Satel do, we focus on the mission critical part of connectivity. Now, the question might arise, what does mission critical mean? Now, in our case, mission critical means not always the critical part of infrastructure, but also the business critical part of the operations. to go a little bit deeper in as an example, what we have been doing here in Australia for many years now, roughly 15 years with our partner in Australia, is that we provide connectivity solutions for RTK services. Now, real-time kinematics, that is something that you take advantage in order to achieve a certain level of accuracy in your functions, for example, on a mine site. So we are talking about doing operations in a plus minus 1 centimeter accuracy, whether you are excavating, drilling, or doing some other operations. This is a huge asset already by itself, but this has been happening for many years now. Now, as Satel, we are going to be taking the next step in the coming years. Starting 25, we will be offering, let's say, not only a one service connectivity solution, but a range of multitude of different technologies, what our customers can utilize in their operations, ranging from security-related applications to the RTK, to different type of sensoring solutions, basically covering the whole spectrum of different operations where you need wireless connectivity. I think that's it as an introduction.
Thank you, David. That's fantastic. Sami, I know Nokia is a worldwide name that most people know about. But however, as you describe and introduce yourself and your company, maybe to highlight, the fantastic work that you're doing for the resource sector.
Very good, and good afternoon to everybody. Happy to be here. Sami Ranta, heading an advanced video business within Nokia. And if I put this in the bit of a context of Nokia, of course, comes with communications background, and for mining industry, we offer a fixed connectivity to connect mines to the internet wherever they might be. We provide local wireless connectivity, both open pit mines and underground mines. So that's basically the origin of what we've done in mining for some 15 years. Now, increasingly, we are digitalizing mining operations, and in order to do so, we have been investing significantly in edge computing. So basically, mining companies can run business-critical applications on local servers in a highly secure and resilient way. We are also now entering into what we call far edge computing. So mining companies can place computing units on drones, on mining machines, and so forth to really make sure that business critical applications work. Then we offer a breadth of different type of industrial grade devices to be used in harsh environments, whether they are ruggedized tablets or field routers for connectivity. And then finally, we have a set of applications for mission critical communications, video streaming that our customers can then run on top of this infrastructure. And we also have third-party application marketplace, so smaller companies, innovative companies can bring their software in our environment. So that's in short.
Excellent. No, that's fantastic. And as we go deeper, that edge compute and some of those capabilities is going to be so important. So well done. Visa, a partner in Kallio, please.
Thank you, Andrew. Yes, we are partners in Kallio. Let's talk about a little bit of the Delta Sygni Labs. It's a small company, and somebody said, Mr. Ambassador, that we have innovative new technologies actually in the mining and the other industries as well. And there's a good examples here on right side of me. Really high-tech companies and very innovative technologies. So what we do, we actually in the same sandbox what they are, but we are delivering a software which can accelerate any of the networks. You can read there that there's 2G, 3G, 5G, even coming 6G. We are confident that we can boost, we can enhance that network performance in terms of make it more faster, more stable, and actually end of the day when we are efficient, we will save electricity as well. which is a huge benefit. So we know that this world is more coming for digitalization, and that's a big trend also in the mining as well. There's so much software packages, and especially AI is coming there as well, and AI is very, very, very data hungry. So it needs a lot of capacity from the data transmission. So we see that there's a really need for our kind of a software. Let's talk about the Kalli and the results later.
So one thing, just to put it into context, I think there's been a couple of presentations around the conference, but the amount of data that we're going to be generating, or we are generating, is significant, like gigabytes or terabytes or petabytes per drill hole. These types of technologies are going to be critical to be able to get that data to where we need it. So Marcos, you're an avid cyclist, and I'm not sure if that is the inspiration for some of the technology that you've been working on, but please, can you educate the audience?
Sure, thank you, Andrew. So I'm Marcos, CEO of GeoPyora. Pyora is a Finnish word which means bicycle or wheels, and as you can see, our machine, it resembles a bicycle, and a lot of the inspiration in the design comes from my passion for cycling and power measurement while cycling. So we are there to characterize ore hardness. And why hardness matters? Like, it matters because it's the main driver of CapEx for your crushing and grinding CapEx equipment, and also it will lead to a great chunk of your OpEx due to the energy consumption in kilowatt-hours per ton of ore processed. And not only that, it also drives the entire productivity of the mine. In the end of the day, the amount of metal you're going to produce will depend highly on the amount of rock you can grind through your mills. So, and that's overlooked currently in the industry. It's a problem that we live with, and we got used to test just a handful of samples that are large composites to develop the metallurgical studies, which I did most of my career working for EPCM companies. And that leads us to a huge uncertainty on that hardness variability, and that's a huge risk for the project because many projects come to a failure when you don't reach the nameplate throughput, or you fail to deliver the full value of that project to your investors and your stakeholders. So we developed the GeoPyora breakage test to allow mining companies to test large volumes of samples, small discrete samples, and map that variability. And not only that, we can use the very same samples that are assayed in large quantities to understand the resource. So mining companies take kilometers of drill cores, and they invest millions to obtain those samples and assay them. And they are losing an opportunity of measuring hardness at the same time that they are preparing those samples for assay. And this is the solution that we're promoting with the GeoPyora breakage test.
Fantastic. And again, I want to add some comments to that. So as we go deeper, and we've got a bit of an obsession with going deeper, and many of you who are following the current challenge, and it's not just us that are focused on deep mining, it's a lot of other companies. But this type of technology I see is that we can actually get it after the primary crusher, to get that information as quickly as possible to feed into the downstream processes. So really fantastic technologies. Okay, I'm going to ask each one of you to comment on your each specific areas of expertise and companies on its application into the Australian context. What do you think you bring to the Australian minerals industry?
Okay, thank you very much. My expertise, as I mentioned, is in spatial data analysis and applying artificial intelligence. During this couple of days here at this event, I've already met a lot of peers, colleagues who are doing the same here in Australia. So that's a really good question. What can we bring? What I think is very important is collaboration. So that's what I'm looking for. Organizations, companies that I could collaborate with in the future. And I think I've succeeded quite well already.
Thank you. David, have you got any projects here in Australia? How can we get you some projects here in Australia? What can you bring?
Well, we have projects in Australia. We have had projects in Australia, and I'm confident we will have projects still in the future in Australia. But what the major contribution, what company like Satel brings to the table, is a reliable mean to transmit that enormous amount of data that is required. That will grow in the future even more, the amount of data. But more or less, we provide or facilitate, give an opportunity for different companies to enable automation, whether it's remote operation. That will enhance the safety features of operations in facilities. And basically just enabling more intelligence on a system level. Now, that is, of course, then an individual decision of a company, how they want to utilize that intelligence. What are the key parameters for their operations? But just as an example, one key contribution, which is, to my understanding, also a key parameter for this whole event, is net zero and sustainability. Now, what automation can provide in this sense is not directly to reduce carbon emission, but offer the tools and key ways to enable more sustainable operations. So, in a nutshell, that.
That's excellent, because we are quite proud of the remote operations capability that we have here because of the large distances by which we have our mines to where most of the people live. So your technology can enhance that even further. So that's fantastic. That's good. Sami, I know you are here, you're active, there are projects, but what more can you do? What more do you need to from Australia to support you in helping Australian projects?
So I'll continue a bit on the same topic. So fundamentally, what we want to do is to improve the competitiveness of the mining segment here in Australia. If I share just one very practical example that we just recently completed to digitalize an iron ore open pit mine. So this mine has some 50 moving mining vehicles, partly teleoperated, partly autonomous. And one of the problems that this company faced was this downtime that they had in operations. And then they invited us and some of our partners to see how we could help there. And basically, what we learned was that this company had leveraged Wi-Fi technology, roughly 150 Wi-Fi access points, which caused a lot of connectivity issues. And basically, what we then did was that we replaced them with 5 base stations of 4G or LTE, and basically what that allowed was to significantly improve the kind of a downtime problem. So we then estimated that each mining equipment had 75 more hours a year of active operation, providing roughly 75 million Australian dollar revenue upside. And then coming back to this sustainability part, what we also did was that we were able to cut the fuel consumption by roughly by 7%, which of course helps the planet, but it also saves roughly like 50 million Australian dollars a year in fuel costs. So that's just a very practical example.
Well, that's real money, right? So yeah, no, that's a fantastic example. With your edge compute and some of those applications, are you seeing some of those technologies being adopted here in Australia?
Yeah, a lot. So basically, if I just list a few, so of course, fundamental is communication, voice communication, data connections, video, but now increasingly different type of IoT data. So from different sensors, from vehicles, from different parts of the mining environment. So the more you have transparency of your operations in real time, that of course requires edge computing capacity, and we see increasing volume of different type of applications coming to the ecosystem that we facilitate.
Excellent, thank you. Visa.
Yeah, first of all, I forgot to say that I'm a mining engineer, so I'm speaking fluently IT as well. But what we contributed already, let's say 20 years ago in the mining. I was working in Sandvik, so I was happy to be part of the team that we developed this automine system, and I think this country has utilized, and there's a lot of automine systems here, so your productivity has increased, your safety has increased, so all of those stuff is nice. So what we can do, we can do with our software and system, we need partners. There's good 2 examples here that we can partner and really make it, what they just said, a little bit better in terms of this reliability and data transmission, make it faster and so forth. So there's a lot of benefits, and also we are not limited only for mining. The same technology can be applied for the telecoms companies, and that's a huge business, of course. And there we need, for example, Nokia's help to talk to the telecoms operators, because we have a reason to believe in the early measurements what we have done in Kallio, that we can increase the capacity of the one link tower by double it. That's a huge thing. So we have something to deliver you again.
Excellent. I'm looking forward to it. Marco, so what next?
Thanks, Andrew. Yeah, so in Australia, we have been already operating at the laboratory space. We have many customers already in Australia, and also having our equipment being used in an offline fashion at the mine site, where operators have to get samples from the mine, from the pit, bring to the lab and test them and get information, geo-referenced, where the location of the sample, and it's quite challenging to track that information down through the mining process and crushing plant and stockpiling and so on. And due to a huge need to have that information in real time, we are now developing, and through a fundraising campaign now, to develop the next product, which would be the real-time ore characterization system. And the idea is to do the characterization in real time at the mill feed, and not only characterize the ore hardness, but all the properties that we can possibly do, because the most challenging step will be to take the sample out of the conveyor belt. So once we have the sample, then we'll be able to utilize the GeoPiora to characterize the hardness, and then in the broken product, we'll be able to characterize geochemistry, mineralogy, and that sensing around that characterization will be customized through different commodities, and that information feeds forward to the processing plant for a dynamic optimization. Basically, the aiming to maximize the metal production per unit of time, per unit of cost, and also accelerating production of these critical minerals, and feeding back to the mine operation information that would allow us to optimize as early as possible at the mining stage, the blasting, the scheduling, blending strategies, and also strategies around waste management and maybe second use for tailings material. So it's a lot of benefit in developing this technology, and more than anything, that would turn your concentrator into a real-time laboratory, because you are getting the missing information, that you have all this amazing instrumentation and a processing plant, but you don't know what is your raw material coming from the mine. You have very vague idea what's the material coming from in that conveyor belt. So when we generate that data, then we can marry the ore characterization data with the entire process performance data, and train these machine learning predictive models, which will be capable of predicting plant performance and optimizing set points in process control to optimize energy consumption, reagents consumption, and maximize the yield of metal production. And the vision is that in 20, 30 years, these models, which in the beginning they will be very site-specific, they have the potential to turn themselves into a very well-trained AI model capable of doing metallurgical engineering at a level that I'm not capable of.
No, then that's fantastic, because one thing that's super missing from our industry at the moment is those feedback loops. And what you described is enabling those feedback loops. So enable us to learn, and all of the advanced analytics and the AI for that to learn as well, so that we get our plants smarter and smarter. So that's fantastic. So last question I want to ask each one of you is, you've all grown up in the fantastic Finnish ecosystem, and with this fantastic opportunity with the MOU between Australia and Finland, what from the Finnish way of working, Finnish way of innovating, Finnish way of developing deep technology, what lessons can you provide, or what guidance can you provide the Australian innovation ecosystem?
Well, first of all, I really like this situation what we have now with these funding opportunities for this collaboration. So again, I need to go back to this collaboration. We don't want to do things alone. We want to do it together with other organizations with similar goals and different backgrounds, because then we learn much more. And that would help if we can find this kind of collaborators from here. With same kind of backgrounds somehow, but then some other kind of views to the problem. So that's what we are definitely looking for. And I think it's not only us, it's also same for the industry partners. And that's why in these projects that we are creating, we always have at least half of the consortium consisting of industry partners. And it's really important. Mining companies, service providers, all of those are always welcome to our research and innovation projects.
Excellent, thank you. David?
Yeah, the past couple of days I've been a part of many discussions here, and there's a footnote in almost every discussion, if it is involving regulation, private industry. And the footnote tells me that there is some underlying, I wouldn't say challenges, but sort of, here in Australia when it comes to cooperation between regulation, between local government, between private industry. There is some kind of small thing behind there.
A lack of trust, maybe?
You worded perfectly. Now, looking at from the perspective of a Finnish company, where we as a small nation, we need to cooperate across the board, whether it's starting from politics all the way down to the small companies. We as Satel, as a medium-sized company, we cooperate with everybody we can in Finland, and I would love to see a similar type of energy and acceptance also here in Australia, because that's basically what my observation is based on these 2 days.
Could that be some of the essence of that happiness that you mentioned? Maybe we need to...
Maybe a small part of it. There are other contributors also, but a small part of it.
Sammy?
So I'll continue on that theme. I think there's probably something that has been part of Finnish enterprise DNA, which it's about openness and trust. So sometimes you get a feeling that people are keeping a lot of things to themselves with the mindset that if I disclose too much, it's going to hurt me. Sometimes the upside is bigger than the downside.
Fantastic. Yes, sir.
Actually, Andrew, I don't understand what you mean, because every time I go to Mount Isa, the street names are in my language. There's a lot of last name of my language. So we have a, let's say, more or less the same mindset and doing the same things, and sabai in some languages. We are easygoing, and we understand each other very well, and discussions always open-minded, as somebody said here, and we have the same aim to go and make it every time better and better, and that's a driving force here in Australia as well.
Yeah, and I see that can be a real benefit for working more closely together between our two nations. I think that will help take that message or take that feeling across the whole country. So
I only wait that you start speaking Finnish.
that's right. Marco.
Well, being an outsider, like a Brazilian-born who lived in Australia for 10 years and now been living in Finland for 6 years, I can see lots of similarities, as mentioned here, like especially the easygoing way of not worrying much, which leads like to happiness. So like don't worry, be happy is one of the things. But now talking seriously, I think that Australia could learn a little bit from the Finnish in terms of making bold decisions, in terms of adopting technology on a faster pace. I feel that Australians are still like a very slow takers of technology, of new technologies advancements, doing numerous validations and checks. And I think there is the risk of taking new technology, I think is greater than the loss of opportunity of taking it too late. Especially now when we are in a critical time where we need to accelerate technological acceleration to accelerate the production of metals. And just as an example, for example, like in Finland and Sweden as well, we had customers that boldly made decisions to embrace the vision of testing hundreds of samples with GeoPiora, and not so much concerned about doing comparative tests with old tests and so on. And here in Australia, they are very slow takers.
Yeah, no, excellent. Oh, well, thank you for your insights. It's been fantastic. I want to also highlight a key institute that I've admired that's in Finland, which is the Sitra Institute, very much future-facing, bringing futures thinking, and I believe that has an undertone of enablement through the ecosystem that can be subtle because doesn't come out boldly, but I think that's a key enabler, and I would love in any way to try and influence the Australian government in particular to embrace that type of thinking. So thank you, panelists. It's been an absolute pleasure. So please join me in a round of applause for this fantastic panel. And if you ever get a chance, please go and visit Finland.